Following the FIA's intervention in addressing driver safety concerns, Mercedes found itself at the center of a heated debate in the paddock after running with a second floor stay as permitted by the FIA's pre-event technical directive. Rival teams questioned whether the team had received advance notice of the changes in order to prepare changes in time, something Mercedes insisted it had not. Then there were claims that the stay was illegal because the FIA had not changed the regulations to allow it, putting Mercedes at risk of a protest if it used it for qualifying. The component was removed for Saturday after Mercedes stated that it had not improved. Furthermore, Wolff believes rival teams are briefing their drivers to play down concerns in order to prevent the FIA from moving even faster on the issue. The spats between Mercedes and its rivals are said to have erupted during a Saturday morning team principal meeting at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, where Wolff expressed his rage at others for playing political games. According to sources, he expressed his disappointment that others were attempting to gain a competitive and political advantage by exploiting a genuine safety concern for his drivers. When asked about the porpoising situation in the meeting, Wolff couldn't hide his displeasure with how things were going. This is a sport where you're trying to keep a competitive advantage or gain it, but this situation has clearly gone too far. All drivers, at least one in every team, have said that they were in pain after Baku, that they had difficulty in keeping the car on track or blurred vision. Team principals trying to manipulate what is being said in order to keep the competitive advantage and trying to play political games when the FIA tries to come up with a quick solution to at least put the cars in a better position is disingenuous, and that's what I said. I'm not only talking about the Mercedes. All of the cars suffered in some way or other in Baku, and still do it here. The cars are too stiff, the cars bounce or whatever you want to call it. We have long-term effects that we can't even judge, but at any time this is a safety risk, and then coming up with little manipulations in the background, or Chinese whispers, or briefing the drivers, it's just painful. While Mercedes duo Lewis Hamilton and George Russell have been the most vocal about porpoising and bottoming out issues, Wolff believes it is incorrect for rivals to believe his drivers are speaking out to make their cars faster. Wolff claims that a host of other drivers, including Red Bull's Sergio Perez, are equally dissatisfied with the situation. Of course, people will question whether my position is sincere or not. That's why I'm saying it's not only our problem. But if a Red Bull driver says you reach 300 km/h, which is when the issue comes up, with these problems, you can even lose your vision when braking, or not being able to position the car properly, as Perez said. Then you listen to the words of science, you listen to what Ricciardo has said, we listen to what Ocon has said, Magnussen, and both our drivers. This is not a team's problem. This is a design issue of ground effect cars that needs to be tackled before we have a situation, whatever it is. And it's not just by putting the cars up, because putting the cars up doesn't solve the stiffness of the inherent aerodynamic characteristics. Meanwhile, Red Bull driver Max Verstappen stated that he was not comfortable with mid-season rule changes. In response to the FIA's technical directive, he stated, "Regardless if it's going to help us or work against us, always these rule changes in the middle of the year, I don't think it's correct. Of course I understand the safety part of it, but I think if you talk to every engineer in the paddock, if you raise your car, you will have less issues anyway. Naturally I think ourselves, but also the team. You're going to try to find the limit of what you can cope with, your body itself, for performance. But I don't think it's correct now they have to intervene and start applying these kinds of rules, that if you can't deal with the porpoising, that you have to go up on ride height, because it's very simple. Just go up on ride height and you won't have those issues. I think it will be hard to police in a way, but we'll see." The majority of drivers applauded the FIA's decision to intervene after a growing number of physical issues were reported. Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton revealed in Canada on Friday that he has been suffering from more headaches this season, while AlphaTauri's Pierre Gasly said the FIA needed to stop porpoising to prevent them from needing a cane at 30. However, Verstappen compared F1 to a number of other sports in which the physical toll of competing accumulates over time, and he felt it was important not to exaggerate the potential impact of porpoising. "There are a lot of sports out there where I think you damage your body in general. You can always judge if that is the safest thing to do. No, but we are willing to take risks. That is our sport, and that is what I love to do. For sure, the porpoising we have at the moment is not nice, and I don't think it's correct, but some teams are able to handle these things a lot better than others, so it is possible to get rid of it. I don't think we have to over-dramatize what is happening at the moment. We have a lot of smart people in the sport who can get rid of these things. The impact of the changes on competitive order, as well as any restrictions that the FIA may impose in the future on car setup, is unclear right now, but teams that are suffering less porpoising are concerned about the possibility of them suffering as well. Charles Leclerc in particular is irritated that Ferrari Ferrari may lose the advantage it has gained by working to solve the problem simply because other teams have not. When asked about the FIA's involvement in the porpoising controversy, Leclerc stated, "On the one hand, I obviously understand George's point, because when you see him and Lewis get out of their car after Baku, it's very bad. You can probably feel the pain that Lewis is going through at the moment, and this is not acceptable. But on the other hand, also you cannot underestimate the amount of work that's been done in the last few months by teams to actually get on top of those issues. This has been our main priority since the first time we tried these cars. We've been working to get on top of those issues. I think the improvement has been massive, and now all of the work that we've done, do we just put it in the bin because obviously there's maybe one team that's struggling more than others? That's my point of view. I obviously understand that on Mercedes it's very bad, but I also think that there are maybe fixes for this." Russell, who led calls for the FIA to intervene during the drivers' briefing in Baku, explained that it was far too early to suggest that teams would lose any competitive advantage as a result of the latest action. At the end of the day, the FIA are the rule makers, and they could bring in any regulation change they want. Nobody sat here knows if that's going to improve their performance or have a negative impact on their performance, so we really have to see. There's so many different aspects and elements of these cars that by raising the car, it doesn't necessarily reduce it or remove. You're going in between porpoising and bottoming. It's two sort of different issues at play here. I hope it's easier to drive for everybody, and it doesn't have a knock-on effect for performance for anyone. The FIA also wants to gather information from teams about potential changes to technical regulations for 2023 that could give them more leeway in resolving porpoising issues in the long run. This could include aerodynamic changes, revised suspension systems, or even the legislation of tools such as mass dampers. Following a weekend of tension surrounding the porpoising issue, Wolff believes it is critical that teams take the issue as seriously as they should. When asked if he believed politics could be removed from the debate when tech executives met, Wolff responded, "I think the political maneuvering that has been going on doesn't consider what is at the core of this topic. At the core of this topic is that since the beginning of the season, race drivers have been complaining about pain to drive these cars, back pain, blurred vision. We're talking about micro concussions and people giving their feedback in literally every team. This is something we just need to tackle, whatever the solution is and whatever technically can be implemented to go in that direction. We need to be aware that this is not about cutting a winglet that is an advantage for a team or a double diffuser. It is that all of us team principals and teams, we have the responsibility to not take this lightly." What are your opinions on the FIA's new directive? Should Red Bull and Ferrari take a hit in the name of safety, or should they be rewarded for solving the porpoising problem faster than their competitors? We'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to click the bell button to be notified of future videos.